Hi, everybody. I wanted to touch base real quick about the first cycle of observations that were conducted. Just want to kind of give you some perspective and feedback on those. I did provide individual feedback on any that were submitted. So hopefully that will provide you some guidance. I really like to allow for some flexibility in how the assignments are approached, as long as you're hitting the key objectives that are outlined in this particular assignment or any assignment. You know, as long as it's thorough and what I feel is at a graduate level. So, thank you for getting those turned in. And your efforts on those. So, I want to talk just a little bit about the evaluation process as a whole. So, one of the first concepts I'd like to touch upon is the scripting piece. The scripting piece is actually a pretty important component. It's definitely one that takes time and practice. I appreciated some of the comments. I think it was Chad who noted that, hey, I try to keep this as authentic and possible, and as authentic as possible, and not, hit pause and do that. That's a beautiful example of just trying to go with it, and that's exactly what you're going to have to do if you've yet to do this in the classroom. Is you're going to have to walk in and do a cold write and take it in as it is. And again, it evolves into your own style, and that's another reason I don't want to kind of paint you in a corner with expectations and how that should be conducted, because I really feel like it's important for everyone when you're doing that to do what's works best for you. I can provide suggestions in the fact that it's important to be proficient in typing. I would much rather. I feel like you get a lot more done. I think most people probably do it this way rather than scripting by hand. Also, just trying to capture as much as you can from what the teacher actually says, and specific items in which they do. Because those right there, if you do a very strong job of scripting what goes on, and you can pull quotes and specific examples out to utilize as evidence within your rating and your rationale for why you provided said rating, that is going to be very powerful. And I find it very powerful. Typically, the teachers, when I sit down with them, are very, very appreciative of that scripting, for them to kind of sit back and analyze it with a non subjective lens. Go in and take it down as you see it. Another quick tip, and it goes back to as a leader, and this is how I'd like to tie this whole process into professional development and that leadership piece, is I feel this process of evaluation, observations, it is not a one-shot deal. You cannot look at it as pre-observation, observation, post-observation, rating. We move on. If it is viewed like that in isolation, it is going to be very unproductive. One of the things I view this as, when I sit down with somebody for that post observation, we've probably talked numerous times leading up to that, through walkthroughs, just touching base, making sure that the door is open to answer questions, identifying things along the way. So there needs to be just liberal communication and discussion related to the actual skill of teaching along the way. So that teacher feels like when you sit down, hey, odds are we've pretty much already discussed this. I essentially know kind of what the rating is. I know what my areas for refinement are. I know my areas of reinforcement. So now we can use this time to discuss and dig a little bit deeper, and talk about how we can develop some professional goals moving forward, based on what has happened over the course of the year. So definitely, if it's approached in that holistic manner, it's going to be much more impactful for yourself as a leader and the teacher. And I truly, truly feel that when you have the opportunity to go through that full cycle of evaluations with people and you approach it as such, those are where those seeds of trust and professional dialogue are planted, because it not only gives you opportunity within those meetings and those settings to talk about the teaching and learning, the data, and all those things, but those cluster into different conversations as well. Many times you sit down and those are when you start having those conversations where, is there anything else you'd like to discuss with me or talk to me about from this year? How's the family doing? You have the opportunity to have those really intimate one-on-one times, those conversations with those individuals that are set aside, and it's so important that they're taken advantage of as such. So, with that script, it starts there. For example, what I do is when I go in, I script. I I immediately I put it in a Google document. That's what our. I'm not saying everybody has that option. That's what we have. Google's pretty accessible, but I put it in a Google Doc. I literally hit send immediately with all of my notes, very transparent to the teacher. So when I leave, they go back to their computer at some point. They have it right there with all my notes, my dialogue, any things I noted, and I provide them the ability to comment within that, so we can already start that discussion from get go. So they have time to kind of look at that document, brainstorm, and starts to really foster that conversation immediately after that observation. So again, that's a suggestion. That's how I approach it. And then the other piece is when you start to discuss, your plan for the post observation, that official structured piece. It's always important, and I know many of you noted it, is you would build in time to allow them to share. That's how you should always start it off. The key OTES will tell you the first thing you should say if you're going to get recredentialed or test is, how do you feel the lesson went? And then you let them kind of share. You do a lot of listening and then provide feedback along the way. So that's going to be really important. And also make sure there are very specific items you're noting. And if you're going to note an area of refinement, make sure that you are providing them, as the instructional leader, strategies to supplement that area of refinement things. So most teachers will be very receptive if it's approached that way. And I think you'll find it very impactful in helping you develop the relational aspect of your leadership and helping them develop as individuals, develop their strengths, develop their weaknesses, and then utilize that and see how it can fit within the overall picture of your building and developing what you need within the culture to improve student achievement. And that's when we start looking at these individual teachers develop that tapestry for a professional development plan within our buildings. If I know I have a group that are extremely skilled in technology, and I have some individuals who need supplementing there, and we want to make sure we're integrating a specific skill utilizing Google, I'll say, or Edulastic, which is an assessment program. And I have people I know that's a strength of that through evaluations and observations. Then I can utilize that knowledge to construct some professional development that will mesh with helping those who need assistance in those areas. And there you go. You start to get that collegial supervision developing towards an ultimate goal of growth in a specific area. So again, overall, I think you did a really nice job. If you have any specific questions about the next cycle, please touch base with me. I'd be more than happy to meet with you to discuss that and help you out. But overall, again, I left some individual comments on those. If you have any questions, please let me know. And take care. Bye.